Hey, good evening, everybody. So I wanted to start out asking how many people know about Kyndryl, and you can't answer, and you can't answer, and you can't answer, but how many people know about Kyndryl? No? Anybody heard about IBM? Yeah.
Does anybody know who IBM is?
Yes, it is important. So IBM had a large group of people that were under an umbrella called GTS, Global Technology Services. That split off last year. 90,000 of the best and brightest people became Kyndryl. And so now we do all the services you may, excuse me, remember IBM doing in the past. This split has been good, I think, for Kyndryl. We're able to look at new directions, new partners, new ways of doing things. We're not focused strictly on IBM solutions, although we weren't in the past. We were heavily focused on that. So we have started to do new things. Also up here you can see we do a lot of networking. 300,000 network devices being managed, 5,200 WAN devices. We're a leader in Gartner's manages network services reviews and ratings. And now it's going to be slow again.
So the advantage for Kyndryl, while we're waiting on the slide to change, is the modern solutions that we can focus on. We have a lot of flexibility as a team that we didn't have as part of the monolithic IBM organization. So we get to pick and evaluate and operationalize more modern ideas for today's problems versus using technology that, may not scale or may not have the features that are needed in today's world.
So this is basically talking about the WAN evolution, which is really a revolution at this point. And we've been there for our clients for this entire time, right? People were moving from frame relay to MPLS through the 2000s, and we were there to help them do that. A lot of smart people were working on new ways to do the WAN, using a lot of the internet technologies that were developing back then, commercializing, commoditizing that. Some of you may remember e-business from the mid-2000s, mid-2015, 14. So we were heavily involved in that. Then we have our SD-WAN making its appearance. They started, a lot of people were developing things separating the control plane and the data plane, virtualizing the appliances that we used to use. And we were there doing some of the first SD-WAN rollouts. We had a large rollout for a major chemical company, for a large bottling company, for a major rental car company. So we were there at the beginning of SD-WAN as well, doing it in large scales. We also, some of the later developments here, which we're going to talk about shortly, are some of the security aspects of SD-WAN.
I think this is a good point to mention that Kyndryl has a long history in networking and building infrastructure, secure infrastructure. So it's probably the largest startup that you've ever seen be created, 90,000 employees, and it looks like a one-year-old company, but really several decades old.
Yeah, good point. And SD-WAN is evolving. It's not static. So, the first adopters were looking at cost savings. How can I save on an expensive MPLS infrastructure, use the internet for more of my connectivity? They were also looking for more bandwidth, things like that. But over time, SD-WAN has added a lot more features. Certainly, analytics. It's what better place to get your analytics than where your data and connectivity come together. Also, automation. Now that you've separated that control plane and data plane, automation is much more available at a large scale than in the past, and probably less dangerous to do than in the past as well. Cloud on-ramp. All these things are where SD-WAN has been evolving. And of course, security, which we'll be talking about more in just a minute. And my computer seems to be working great now. So this is about the convergence of SD-WAN and security. which is basically taking those security components that used to be in the data center, pulling those out, virtualizing them, putting them on the cloud, and now they're on the edge. It's allowing users from basically anywhere to go anywhere with any device in a secure manner. So that's a big advantage of SASE. And SASE has evolved also. So the first iterations of SASE were really around simplified security management for people working from home and stuff. But over time, some of this is, analogous to the SD-WAN evolution too. You got automation, analytics, the cloud integration, those kinds of things evolving at the same time as SD-WAN. So all these things are coming together, and even the NOC-SOC integration of having the same people sitting together working on these things. And I will let Clayton start taking the helm here to talk about security.
Yeah, so one of the important differentiators, I think, between SASE and the legacy SD-WAN concepts are the zero trust architecture integration and the need to scale with multi-cloud and hybrid infrastructure. SASE is a much more flexible concept in comparison to legacy concepts, and it strives to push functions to the edge that allow people to be more scalable when they build infrastructure. I think these are, the most important talking points relative to the evolution of the SASE conversation. I think it's also important to note that, SASE and zero trust, while buzzwords, are not products, right? These are frameworks, concepts, architectures to manage implementations and programs. We hear confusion in the market, from prospects and customers that, they believe these things are products, and when they buy certain products, they believe they have zero trust or SASE. And while that's true, you have components of it. It's important to realize that zero trust is a framework that you manage the implementations with. So, for example, you have to define all of your policy information points, your decision points, and how you're going to enforce the policies that you have defined as a company. And it could be that some products have those features, but it could also be they're missing features to support certain parts of the business. So if you want to enable your company to work from anywhere and engage to anywhere, zero trust allows you to better secure your SASE infrastructure and build contextual awareness and enforcement. And this is what SSE looks like, the security service edge that's part of SASE, right? SASE is the security services and the network components merging together as a single architecture. And if you look at the components, you can see that a lot of it is cloud native. You can see that a lot of it is, moving closer to the edge and out of the infrastructure, right? Where traditional security solutions used to live in the infrastructure, now they're being pushed to the edge so that the user or the service doesn't have to cross the infrastructure planes. This allows this from anywhere to anywhere concept when you move these functions to the edge. You've seen quite a few use cases of this in the last 2 or 3 years. Of course, COVID brought many challenges for companies, most notably trying to operationalize a highly distributed workforce almost overnight in some cases, really started to challenge the legacy technologies and architectures. You think about the issues with VPN that a lot of companies had as they tried to push users remote, and as they tried to enable users to access infrastructure that historically had not been accessed from outside the company, you start to really challenge a lot of those legacy concepts. So it quickly accelerated companies' plans and adoptions around SASE. And it also accelerated the need for zero trust, right? Because you're extending the company network into the home, into the car, into the Starbucks, into the McDonald's, you know, on wireless, all around the world. People buying, you know, homes and working from any state that they've never worked from before. It certainly required a lot more flexibility. Another cool evolution is the Industry 4.0. You see the convergence accelerating between OT, IT, and IoT, where businesses want to reduce cost and streamline operations. And as those legacy environments come together with new IT environments, you expose a lot more challenges that really have not seen the light of day in a long time. So Industry 4.0 is, you know, definitely going to push the envelope in terms of SASE adoption. And SASE is, you know, an excellent flexible architecture to manage disparate environments, which you find a lot of in OT with operating systems who are old and out of date and not being patched anymore, controllers and devices that maybe never had patches to begin with, right? And updates aren't supported by the vendors. So as companies look to reduce cost in this new economy we find ourselves in with, you know, significant inflation, Industry 4.0 is, you know, full pedal down on the gas. Companies large and small are trying to figure out how to reduce the costs in the operational environments and better secure them so that as they connect them to new technologies like private wireless and expose legacy dark environments to the internet, you definitely see a need for zero trust when it comes to those things, because it only takes one misstep in an OT environment for manufacturing or oil production, as we've seen with some of the oil pipeline providers in the U.S. and some of the natural gas exporters in the U.S. who have had facilities explode and pipelines be shut down. The risk is exponentially growing faster than most budgets. So SASE is a great way to build a more cost-effective, scalable solution. And powered with zero trust means that you have a much more secure framework to govern the access of all of that. You've also seen a significant explosion of SaaS and hybrid infrastructure, especially multi-cloud, where companies don't want to be locked into a particular cloud, and they want to have flexibility between clouds to recover, you know, to anywhere, from anywhere. So, you know, the hybrid infrastructures, this is not going away, right? There's always going to be legacy infrastructure, cloud. SASE is incredibly flexible to support all of these use cases as well. Yeah, so this is, you know, really our vision as a company is to be able to support any deployment of any service and any transport for any entities anywhere. So if you think about, you know, what that means, security has to be the core of that concept. You can't expose anything anywhere to anybody without caring how you're going to protect it. So again, just driving the need for a security focus in the SASE journey. Kyndryl has a large team of zero trust knowledge center, which can help companies diagnose what the zero trust framework means for them. There's over a dozen zero trust frameworks out there, and so customers often have the question, what zero trust framework is right for me, right? Which one should I be looking at? How do I implement those in my architecture? Kyndryl has large teams that can help diagnose and architect and produce those blueprints to simplify the zero trust journey for the customer.
And that's it.
You have anything in closing, Rick?
No, I don't. That was good. Very excellent. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions from the audience or those on the internet?
Or behind the camera? All right.
So I guess this journey comes to a close. Thanks, everybody, for coming.